Oh yeah, what's up? What's up? What's going on? What's going on, friends? It's good to see you back. All kinds of funny things going on in the background. We'll talk a little bit about them here today. You can't see Wolfie, Bonnie Randall? I don't see Wolfie either. Maybe it's a fake Wolfie account that's already been banned here. You said it twice, you can't see Wolfie. Where is he? I don't think he's in the chat. I don't see him. Let me see. No, he's not in here, so... What's going on? What's going on, Bonnie Randall? Let's see. Starcat. Does anyone know one Daniel's other brother's name besides Justin? I don't know. Don't know that he has one. And Jordan Getty's brother's name. I don't know that he has one. I don't know. I'll put it out there to the ether. Maybe somebody can answer in the comment section or the live chat. Yeah, it's been pretty funny. You guys, have a upload that I upload from just this message that's been going around or is going around in the background. It's really interesting. Unverified, of course. But it seems to be hitting home because the RCMP visited Darren Getty's douchebag son, Jordan, who, interestingly enough, lives on a really small inland lake, also known as septic tanks, about 10 miles north of where Daniel Martell lives. Right on the way to News Glasgow. It's interesting. It's a bit of a shithole, as you can imagine. But I think that he lives in a rental or a granny unit there. 1279, is that the number, if I can remember correctly? Foxbrook Rd, something like that. So people in the background, the RCMP showing up, allegedly, so I hear somebody saying that they've witnessed on Thursday, May 1st, Malaya, Daniel, and all three kids stopped by there. And I wondered why that wasn't mentioned in the paperwork. So naturally, I said, well, how did you come across this information? I'm still waiting back. But it's interesting enough because it sounds like this is all past. This is all a situation that's obviously past. And I wondered if that was what old Jordan Getty's was so upset about, this particular individual. But there's all kinds of people in Pictou County that watch this program and Mike Demands, and that's just a fantastic thing. We do appreciate those. And this is coming from these individuals. You know, it's easy to become cynical and just dismiss it as a bit of a distraction, and perhaps that's a bit probably what it really is, and that's really Darren's purpose. Or is there a lot more? Why is Darren acting the way that he is? Why is Jordan acting the fool? So the RCMP went to follow up and talk to Jordan, I heard, which made me laugh. What an idiot. What a douchebag that guy is, but that's funny. As much as harassment can be funny, I guess. It depends on who you are. But what a fool. What a stupid thing to do. What a silly thing you did, Jordan. Got sent in a PDF. And if you haven't seen it, let me zoom in on this right now. Whoops. I'll zoom in on this right now. Hold on. Let me see. So there was a part that I didn't add to my video, and this was the second screenshot. Let me see. This was the second screenshot. And this screenshot is Jordan Getty's voice messages to this individual. Holy, obsessed much? Like, Jordan is a tweaker, dude. The dude is a stalker. Imagine getting these messages from old Jordan after he tries adding you as a friend on Facebook. And the individual said by the end of it, Jordan was sending apologetic messages because he wasn't, he was a little, he was using, what did the word say? What did it say? Let me see. He had misguided anger. Well, it's a little too late for that after you threaten harassment and things like this. The point has been made far earlier. So you can apologize all you want after the fact. It doesn't change anything. Of course, all kinds of rumors going around about Darren, Jordan's dad, Janie's buddy, the person Kent introduced to everybody with these fictitious tales that he's pressing, and he's always good for a laugh. Not that it's intentional by any means, but he has a real burr up his ass for this channel. Justin over at Clutch Them Pearls and Mike, and there's probably others, including these individuals, and they love to threaten all kinds of violence in the background. It's a Twilight Hillbilly Zone, Cindy Clark is saying. They're so intimidating. As intimidating as you can get. And they're intertwined with Janie and Daniel and this whole scenario. Darren claims to be this distant relative of Malaya's grandmother. Oh, that means so am I. I'm actually related to Malaya's grandmother's ex-husband. Distantly. If that's what we're going on around here. Distantly at the time of Adam and Eve. Aggressive and shady as hell, says Robin Edwards. Good to see you this morning on this fine Friday. It's rainy as hell here in southern Ontario. It's 11 degrees Celsius. Oh, I hate this weather. Bonnie Randall says, Osprey, it seems like a real clutch of hillbilly, what does that say? Mafioso run the show there. Oh, no. The welfare mafia, maybe. Mafioso don't have to suck off the government. You can defraud the government. Darren Geddes isn't that evolved in that sense. But I wonder what pins him in all of this. There has to be something just more of being a good Samaritan and trying to spread the message and make Daniel look as innocent as possible at every step of the way. There's a word about those two having a falling out. I'm not sure how much of it's true. You never quite can tell. Probably starting their own rumors. They all remind me of people that don't wash their privates. Just saying, Barky Boys. What do you mean about that? What are you saying? That your privates are so clean? If they had nothing to hide, there's no need to threaten or intimidate people. Absolutely right. That's a great observation there. What does that say? Trail hiker, 8063. That's a great point. Kind of stolen property little scheme that these tweakers have going on there in Nova Scotia. It's something. You know it's something. You can see it. You know, they're so desperate that you would think, and they're going on the premise that, especially Daniel, that, you know, somebody just so, and we'll use parentheses, transparent and cooperative with police seemingly when the cameras are running, couldn't possibly have anything to do with the fact that Jack and Lily are missing. Superficial reverse psychology might get you by in grade 5. But it just complicates the investigation. It's, your emotions get into it because you come across it and come to learn about the situation as it being just the kids wandered off. Then the last people to see them and the parental figures want you to then think that it's acceptable that their initial beliefs somehow evolved and deviated with the rest of ours, when they really haven't at all, because they refuse to commit linguistically as to what they believe actually happened. You see, this situation stinks of a case being built against the family. Nothing ever goes as you really would rather have it, or nothing is easy in that sense when it comes to the investigator's job in all this. I'm dissimilar to Mike DeMann because he's so poo-pooey on the RCMP having botched early scenarios in the case, and they very well might have, especially that we're sitting here, not just him, nitpicking all the way. But the one thing's for sure, the RCMP know where the guilty parties are at. And it's just a matter of figuring out exactly how. See, it stinks like a situation that's gaining popularity, seemingly, from my perspective. But you can relate it to the situation with Trezell and Jacqueline, in the Orrin Norson Wells case, even right now that's happening Stacey Wandra. Neither of those situations were fucking ideal. And you could say the exact same thing, and it really comes down to why, and it's flawed logic, but in group mentality, it's different. They want to use superficially as the fact as they're not in handcuffs, therefore they must be innocent of all of this, when they've been lying and misleading the investigation every step of the way. And at the same time, to an outlier's perspective, them just simply talking and carrying on is evidentiary. And it very well might be, but you don't have to have the same points reinforced to you time after time before you act. Something's going on. Absolutely, and somebody will be accountable for this. No, shut up, Silver. You have blind faith? You just wanted to mention it because it's a band. No, listen. There's a case building against the individuals in the circumstance. Are we going to be privy to any of the information? Absolutely not. Especially when it comes to the kids. But the fact that they don't have handcuffs on them and they haven't moved isn't a clear indicator of their innocence in any of this. That's exactly what old Danny Boy wants you to believe. Go back to the CBC interview, his first one with them. That's what he would prefer everybody to believe, but it's not quite that easy, especially when you're lying nonstop. People talk about it every day, and they'll continue to talk about it until something occurs. When is that going to happen? Believe me, somebody will let you know. It's going to happen. Absolutely, it will happen. There hasn't been one firm, solid alibi or reason to believe in Janie, Malaya, or Daniel's story at any point in this. They do not have an alibi. That is going to present itself a problem to them. No matter what in all of this. That's like turning around and telling the officer to mind his own business. It's not going to fly. It might get you by in the middle of a YouTube interview or a YouTube back and forth on Daniel Turkey show, but it's not going to get you by in the long run in this circumstance. It's just going to be a piece of evidence for a jury of 12. Refusing to answer in these circumstances, which is really what Daniel is justifying, or has justified his reason for them, or that timeline not having enough information in his own little way. Whether the interaction with the dog handler was as fact-based as it's been made out to be, or we want to believe or talk about it. Sadly, the systems aren't perfect. And criminals and people who are trying to get away with things work themselves around that. That's a bit of a thing. That's what defense lawyers are for. It's just what it is at this point in time. It's just what a bunch of lies would get you. But in the end, you're not going to be any further ahead. It's not going to be an acceptable, and it's not an acceptable, clear scenario that's presented, especially with the history of Daniel. Malaya's already shut down and not talking, or maybe she's talking to the RCMP. We don't know that. Anita Benita. Oh, by the way, Anna, thank you very much, darling. A treat for charity. I really much appreciate that. That's very generous of you. See that, Durwood? That's what Durwood is really angry about. That's what I'm actually making money off talking about you right there. Anna sent me that super chat. Now you would have to check with her and see if she sent that, because it was the fact that I was talking about you, and the fact that it's not just a place that she's frequented for quite some time, hence the Red Eagle. Anita Benita says, AB and tired of people acting like they're so effing smart. What do you mean? No RCMP needs evidence to arrest, convict, and throw away the key. People subscribe to groupthink here on YouTube, but not everybody all of the time. It's still easy and realistic to see what's occurring here. But granted, it's often difficult in the moment. That's why lying is so effective to a group of people on YouTube. Many other content creators know that, how easy it is to spread disinformation or misinformation for your benefit, or the fact to troll another channel, or to do whatever it is. I like to think that we're all here for the same reason, and that's to find Jack and Lily and find out what happened. That also includes not ignoring the normal red flags in situations like these, because you're getting and immersing yourself, or not me, but often people in this space will immerse themselves with the guilty parties or suspects. You never see innocent victims or parents do what it is old Danny Boy is doing at this point in time, or his buddy Kent, or Darren Geddes. Every step of the way, they've wanted center stage to bend and to build a support for a false narrative. You've got to stay true to what it is that's brought us here, which is facts, which is their own language. Yeah, I don't think so either. Where's Truth? You don't think that she's working with RCMP either? I don't think she is either. I think she's just clammed up. Meaning Malaya, excuse me. But I could be wrong. I'm waiting. What's going on, Star Car? Lori Green, who knows? Everything out of his mouth is a lie. Robin, are you talking about Darren Geddes? So it sounds like Darren and Janie don't like people talking about how they really, they're made accessory to the situation right now, because as we're talking, we know all of the suspects. The same suspects there was the moment they called 911. They haven't given you a good reason to say, okay, these people have nothing to do with it. And their behavior suggests quite the opposite. Language cues, behavioral indicators. Autumn Christian, it doesn't matter if it's Daniel Turkey or somebody else, or Cher, or anybody else. That's not what it's about. It's not about calling the creator an asshole in all of this. Somebody is going to fill that role. That's misguided a little bit. Don't take your attention away from the guilty parties at hand here. What's going on, Shenanigan? You were on Nova's inquest today, and she said it was Charmaine's opinion. It could be Charmaine. What is Charmaine's opinion exactly? What are you saying? I hope she is working with them. You mean Malaya? Oh man, that would be really sad. If I confused myself there. Osprey, I wonder what age do people up there drop out of school? How many graduate? Well, I don't know, Osprey, but what are you suggesting? Jordan isn't very intelligent? Don't make him mad. He'll fucking call you. Don't make him add you as a friend on Facebook. Here, accept my friend request so I can berate you with a bunch of profanity and voice messages and demand that you pick up my calls or you're a coward. Oh my God. Oh my God. Is something wrong? Hello. You should make a video. Whoever got those needs to make or submit those voice recordings to my email inbox, please, and we'll go through them one by one. Or make a nice little video about it, just because it's so funny. You can start with the apology. You can almost play them in reverse. Start with the one where he apologizes. He was like in a meth-induced rage. A rager. Hold on. There's other things here. Hold on. I gotta pull them up from the back. What else do I got screenshot? How come I can't pull up my photo viewer? Let me see. I'm going to have to filter. I'm going to have to filter it and then pull it up. I'm sorry, everybody. Hold on. Let me try it this way. Try it back this way. That's fine. So I wonder what Jordan here is so pissed off about. Could it be the fact that the RCMP just showed up at his house claiming that, word has it that somebody has witnessed Daniel and Malaya and the 3 kids at his house on Thursday morning? I'm not sure if that's true or what, but I wonder if that's what's triggered him emotionally. So friends, this individual said, I'm curious to see what a Getty's is sending me, or why a Getty's is sending me a friend request. Are you sitting down? Grandma, are you sitting down? Oh my God. Jordan's response is, because you are an effing see you next Tuesday, moronic, retarded female dog. Talk about something and someone you have no KNOW clue about, dumb, ugly thug. People like you deserve karma, and that's what you will get. Call my father a child on KI double hockey stick ER, my friend and me, FMI Hope you all rot. Miserable piece of shite. Everyone like and don't think for a moment I'm not gonna treat you all the way you're treating us. So what is he telling us here, my friends? That he doesn't like the way that people are talking about his little clique. So be careful what you say in my chat. I don't want you to offend Jordan accidentally. More than he already is. So Jordan, it looks like Jordan's saying that. Now I think he's being honest here. I don't think that there's a lot of deception happening. He's really genuinely triggered AF. I think it's the part here, miserable piece of shites. Everyone like and don't think for a moment I'm not going to treat you all the way you're treating us. So this us, what is this us, and who is this us, and this that your dad's protecting everybody and trying to fix? That thing you keep referring to. What a little bitch. Why are you lashing out at random individuals, Jordan? These are individuals that live in PETA County. This isn't somebody over in Glasgow or somewhere in Wales. This is somebody in PETA County, Nova Scotia. And Jordan is triggered AF. Yes, Starcar, who is us? So we'd have to think that would be Darren. So, and why is Jordan associating himself with 3 suspects? Plus people who want to be associated with the situation, in collusion with, accessories, guilty in the conspiracy to continue to cover up this particular case and obstruct justice. Superman would be pissed. Yeah, Christine, the fact that they care what people say is suspect. Yeah, that they have to lash out, like physically reach out and track them down and monitor them. People have already figured out their sock accounts at this point, are sending posts around. The ones that you're seeing, like the ones that were over on Mike's yesterday, is pretty much legit. I could see that. You know, you can never 100% verify it, but you know if you've been around the patterns that you pick up and what sensitivities there are in with these particular accounts. And yeah, you know, it would say that was Daniel or Darren or Logan. Fuck, they're not very good at what they do. They're not very good or very effective. It tells you that they're desperate. They can't afford just to sit back and stay silent and let this thing pass over. Whew. The fact that they want to make it into a moneymaker for themselves is a little suspect. Man, it's amazing that Kent's just so moved by the humanity of it all that he needs to really interfere in this case of a couple strangers and start throwing birthday parties for Jack. Call them vigils out in front of the RCMP headquarters and collude with Daniel and verify everything with the main suspect who's really guilty as fuck at this point in time. Pedal-looking motherfucker. Dirty motherfucker. Oh, I'll be out there to Nova Scotia. There's not going to be a damn thing that you're going to do about it. I'm getting all the video and film that I need and want. I'm going to run myself right into Earl. Yep, right in the middle of that public road there. I'm going to give him a little bit of the tint treatment. You've got all kinds of opportunities in the moment to bury something if you needed to. He's got all of the properties around there, including Jordan's. You want to see where Jordan lives? Supposedly. This is the address that's going around. Whether it's true will remain to be seen. Right there. Let's see how close he is over there to... That's 10 miles. Let's see here. Fucking cowboys. Let's see. Spin this thing around. Spin this ride around. How come it's... Let's just refresh it. Hold on. One moment, please. This is all cockeyed, by the way. My little compass has disappeared. I don't know where it's gone. Yeah, right. Anyway, it doesn't matter. You'll get the gist of it in a second. We're coming to you from the perspective of the backyard of Janie's trailer. Notice I didn't say yours, Daniel. Yes, Janie's trailer. We'll be talking about that at length today. Look what it took to finally get her trailer back. All of these families coming out of the woodwork surrounding poor little Jack Lily. Well, to be fair, they've been around since the very beginning in that sense. All in the background trying to protect things, trying to fix things, fix things up. The mess that Daniel created. Karen, you're asking me? You probably got that from my community page. The question is, did you know? No, they don't qualify for that grant, by the way. Unfortunately. Those are for people who pay into the system with things like taxes. From jobs. Daniel's not a blood relative. But it is a good grant system for people who are genuinely victimized. These people haven't been victimized. They're the perpetrators. Including you, Janie. You old bat. You old nasty hag. Yeah, Osprey Cody was no prize either. I don't know what he looks like. It's not about looks, though, dude. It's not about looks. It's not always about looks, is it? Sometimes it's about the booty. We have now entered the dark triad, Ginger Snap, Twilight Zone, filled with sociopaths. Wade said he probably buried them 10 miles out in the woods. He was theorizing. But I don't believe that he's wrong in that sense. Might be at Earl's house, you never know. What would you do? What would you do if you were trying to dispose of bodies and weren't expecting to be caught with the intent to mislead the ground search when you called in the report of these kids missing to 911? Like it or not, you're going to have to put your minds there. It's a crapshoot. On one hand, you know what you'd do, but you know how stupid Daniel and how that in this circumstance, the more it looks to me that he had help that night. And that's what's tying everything together. Why it's necessary that Kent's involved and Durwood's involved. Like it may not be working out, and it's not working out that well for them, but it makes a lot more sense. It would indicate that they have a lot more to do with the covering up process, whether they're doing a solid for the family, whether it's for Janie. And internally in a family, sometimes, you know how crazy that shit goes. Some people have crazy families. They would do it just to have one over on that other person so that you can hold it. You could extort them at a later point in time, especially a family filled with criminals. You have information that other person doesn't want out, and there's no way that you would go to the cops with it. That's something that you can hold over somebody's head and is worth a lot more to you personally as an individual than it would be to completely destroy what you would perceive is a non-violating person, because it would hurt more than one person potentially. My point is that there's a lot of internal politics. Fuck that. Look at what Cindy and Malay are doing. They already know something's happened without admitting to it. They know that they're going to be on the hook for it and have chosen to stay silent. From our perspective. Maybe it might be different if you were from the RCMP or part of the investigation in that sense. I mean, not that it's normal. Like it's not like she has any sort of duty to come out and be outspoken about the situation at hand. You would think normal behavior would dictate that you would utilize the benefit of media to get the story and your concerns out, and she did quite the opposite. She introduced the possibility of a stranger abduction of all things, before she really wanted to tell anybody what she believes happened to the kids. She needs you to buy this bullshit story of her fading in and out of sleep and the kids voluntarily walking out this sliding door off and never to be seen again. Now it's time that they move on with their lives. I don't think so. Yeah, I danced that around in my head there, Chip. Last night I was thinking to myself, there's certain things that, first of all, I believe Malaya knows what's happened. Let me be first and say that. But I try to think about the different possibilities. But we're talking about three separate things here, okay? There's three separate things that we're talking about. One would be what happened leading up to the incident that took Jack and Lily's life. Then you split into the fact that you've chosen as the perpetrator that instead of calling emergency services, that you're going to hide the bodies and come up with a fabricated story. These are charges. These are felonies. And then there's the actual execution. Not to mention the treatment of the corpses. More sets of charges. And then there's the conspiracy to cover up all of this after you've done the previous two things. And in this circumstance, we need to we do need to figure out in theoretical sense. Who it was that was involved in each and every step of this little thing. It's not all one incident, right? It's not just one accident or one little misadventure, mishap. The kids got themselves killed. The kids got themselves disappeared. No. It's not what it is at all. If you choose to believe this, you wouldn't be here. If you chose to believe that the kids just walked into the woods, you wouldn't be in this chat right now. From Daniel's perspective, from the suspect's perspective, they need to continue to play as though they're just as mystified, or they have to portray themselves and evolve with. And these are the things they can't do. These are the things that stand out in interviews and just don't make sense, and Daniel doesn't have an answer for. And he risks sounding like a complete fool and somebody who's being deceptive as part of his ploy to convince you that he isn't sophisticated enough to be have escalated or done anything negative to harm the kids in this circumstance, that makes himself feel better. He feels the need to do that. He thinks it's working, and as long as he's convinced that he believes that it's working, it's working. Until it doesn't. From the investigator's perspective, you have to let him do it until you're ready. They can't control how he behaves or acts. He has the right to shut his mouth, like Malay is doing at every step of the way. He's got himself painted into a corner with all of this since day one because of how he behaved in front of the cameras. The need that he had to make it look and appear as though he wasn't the guilty party who did indeed bring harm to Jack and Lily. Everybody can relate to losing their patience. Everybody can relate to certain things that contributed to the fate of Jack and Lily in this circumstance. What they cannot relate to and what's inexcusable is the decision to either carry that harm onto the second child in order for you to get away with the crime you never planned on getting caught for in the first place. The decision to then go and dispose of the bodies and come up with a bullshit story in order to save your own hides is where this takes a real fucking left turn. That's going to be the determining factor as to why I stay involved in monitoring this nonsense. Because there is so much wrong with this scenario that they don't want to even acknowledge. That they're going to have to acknowledge at some point. And sometimes soon. Whether it's like the when entry. It's like people always want to know when that's going to be. Soon. It's going to be going in a very a positive direction if you're looking for justice in this scenario eventually. It's just a matter of fitting all of the pieces of the puzzle together. Yeah, we wish this was a McDonald's 12-piece Happy Meal puzzle, but it's a 10,000-piece puzzle because it's made more difficult by the obfuscating, the purposeful obfuscating, and the lies and deceit that are carried on through each session of questioning. Well, that eventually is going to run out. You can only lie so long in circumstances like these. And the fact that Danny doesn't want to have a real timeline honed down 5 months in doesn't look very good, because it's not going to all of a sudden become effective at 8 months or 10 months or 12 months. No, the damage has already been done. You don't have one. And there's a reason you don't have a timeline. And it has everything to do with what it is that you did to Jack and Lily. Every fucking cop is out there to say it, but they're trained not to say it. They all know it, excuse me, but they're trained not to say it to you, Daniel. An individual in your place has no reason to be in front of a camera at any point in time. Hey, Kent, for an individual who just lost his business, you should be a lot busier than you are. Why is it that you're so balls to the wall gung-ho with the Jack and Lily Sullivan case? See, you're a complete fraud and a farce. And everybody knows that as you continue to make rounds onto different YouTube channels in order to push your own fucking little money projects. And normally those money projects would be just fine, but you chose to brand Jack and Lily Sullivan. And what favor did you do Janie, that she's so thankful for you that she had to shout you out in public, in a public forum? Thanks, Kent. Thanks for helping us get rid of all of this evidence. It doesn't matter how much time passes. You individuals become more and more suspect. And that's what's really looking like is driving you crazy, because if the one thing that we're to believe, that the trifecta really doesn't like being questioned. They are sensitive. They're sensitive about being scrutinized with this bullshit narrative that they've come up and want to plaster all over the place. Must misdirect. We're dealing with people that brought harm towards children and have no problem disposing of the bodies and covering for one another, no matter what, in order to get away with their crimes against children. Crimes against children. And yeah, you can be critical on the RCMP, but there's nobody within the RCMP that is okay with the scenario. You would think that they would go the extra mile. One moment, please. Yeah, I had to go outside again. Sorry about that. Never mind. I had to go outside and rescue something. Yeah, Starcat, what got burned up in the fires? Yeah, well, I should come have a look, Osprey. I'm an electrician. Ken said it was electrical? No, why did it burn down? Jewish lightning. Yeah, shenanigans. Ken said it was electrical, but he also said it wasn't investigated. So how does he really know? It's a fucking eyesore to begin with. Yeah. Inconsistent statement from Kent. Well, imagine that. Kent, you're such an idiot. Who do you think you're fooling, Kent? It's not hard to burn anything down with electricity, by the way. You're right, Anita Benita. But it doesn't matter. Electrical is just an excuse. Oh, it was electrical. Had to be electrical. Blame it on the electrical. What were you overloading the circuitry? See, when anything arcs, it's supposed to be grounded in that sense, so it goes and blows the fuse of the circuit breaker. Maybe it wasn't grounded. Well, you deserved to burn the fucking thing down. But it didn't do it on its own. He wants to make it look like an act of God. Well, he uses it as a feel-sorry tactic to tell everybody just exactly who he is and what he's all about. Oh, he's this big businessman that just lost his entire business in a fucking fire. Shouldn't you be busy rebuilding your business by now already? Well, I had clientele's cars in the garage at the time. Yeah, clientele like Janie Durwood. Yeah, Silver, no. Yeah, that's good for you to say, Buttercup. That doesn't mean anything. That doesn't mean jack shit. He's a fake ass bitch. All right? That's branding Jack and Lily, two missing kids who nobody knows what happened to. At this point, technically, from the investigative standpoint, Ken can kiss my ass. There's nothing legitimate about that son of a bitch. You can be involved in the community all you want. So are a lot of sex offenders. Osprey's saying don't bring it up, though, because he's very sensitive about it. Fire 2 weeks after the kids go missing. Yeah. Yeah, it's suspect, especially the way he is. There's nothing legitimate about him. Oh, yeah, are you a member of the Kiwanis Club? I don't think so, Kent. You member of your local Legion? I don't think so. Be in Florida. You specifically, well, go get a time stamp. You specifically remember Durwood going in Dolly's visions and saying that his garage burnt down? Whose garage? Durwood's? Maybe he had a truck in it. Maybe he had one of his cars in it. You know, but what does it tell you? It just, who knows at this point in time? You have to put it back in your, put it off to the side. Put those pieces together off to the side. So there is Jordan Geddes right there. And I wonder if I can do this again. Hold on. I want my little needle so it takes me back so we can look at the map properly. But I can't move the map. There we go. Holy shit. There we go. So much easier. So there's Jordan Geddes right there. Whoops. That's doable. Look at how close that is. 8 miles. 10 miles. There's a body of water right behind it. That's very convenient. It's just right outside of Westville there. Pictou County. Anybody else in my chat from Westville? Anybody? Let me know in the comment section below if you're from Westville. BBB, he's given you the creeps. And he's gives you the creeps since I've seen him. I wouldn't trust him around my cat. You could be talking about any number of them. And I bet he's not supposed to play in your playgrounds or schools. Oh, who Kent? Oh, no. He just reminds me and acts like one. He's one in training. In Canada, they don't make that public information. God knows what he's up to in the background. But that's the type of individual that gets involved in situations like this, especially child-centric scenarios. Instead of having a proper sensitivity to it, you go balls in deep, roll yourself in the wheelchair and your fuzzy face and your goddamn tracksuit from 1982, stinking like high heaven. Oh, yeah, I'm here for the kids. Oh, I'm here for Jack and Lily. No, you're not, dude. No, you're not. Ginger Snap. You want to see how it's like one turn. So let's go over this road right here that he's on. We'll go straight down it. There's not a whole lot of roads. Go down through Hopewell. Where are we going? Where the hell are we going here? There it is. So there's Garlock Road right in front of Jack and Lily's home. We'll zoom out. Let's go this way. Split it. We'll turn this fucking thing this way. Because when we zoom out, we'll see Jordan's there. There's Jordan up there in Westville. So if we go up, we'll go north on Garlock Road here, up towards New Lairg. Vroom, 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 vroom. We'll stay on Garlock Road. We're going to stay on Garlock Road. Should we get over? Let's go back a little bit. We're going to go right here. We're going to flip over. How the fuck can we get to the other side of that river? There's got to be a road that gets us over here. I can't see. What is that road? Right here. Here's a road that splits the middle river of PETA. So there's Garlock. You go up through a little town called Rockin. See Garlock Road? Up to Rockin. Now, we're going to flip over the other side of the middle river of PETA into Union Center. And we're going to make our way over here, up this route, to Jordan Getty's place. There's probably an easier route. What if there's more direct route? Right up through here, right through Westville. But it's just this side of New Glasgow. It kind of looks like, from my memory, it looks... You remember looking at this road on the Google map from Malaya's phone? It kind of took that road, if I remember correctly. Not that that's a guaranteed tell of anything, but, you know, it's right on the way of going to do everything. They could very well have jumped in no matter which way they went. So it's on the way. It's not too far away. I think 8,000 meters as the crow flies, so we'll say about 10, 12 miles on the road. Maybe a little more. Not even. By the time you do all your bullshitting around, yeah, left, right. It's plausible. But then again, it could just be all a bunch of talk from the ladies, all the grandmas in PETA County are talking. Why does all the grandmas in PETA County talking piss Jordan and Darren off so much? Like, of all people, why would it make them so upset? Christine, you're saying Earl has crazy eyes? It's because he's malnourished. He's eating coyotes. He's probably eating beaver too, not the good kind. Ishness9476 wants to know, day 2 of 3 of the search, Dummy Danny allegedly picked up, the Pipeline Boys. Their names are in the paperwork if you have a copy. Chase and somebody else. It wasn't Jordan. It didn't say it was Jordan anyway, but he said he picked up a couple buddies to help, so he needed a couple buddies to gaslight, bring them back, keep them occupied, so he didn't have to face the police. Haley Ferdinand said he was so standoffish and skittish he was terrified of the police that day, acting weird, tweaky, twitching. Anita Benita, how is Jordan Daniel's cousin? So that would indicate that that's a circular family tree. both sides of the family, because Darren claims to be a distant cousin of Malaya's grandmother. That's so fucking stupid. Can't you come up with something better than that, you idiot? Can't you just tell them how you're related to somebody? That's how traditionally, normally, you engage with somebody to con them or scam them. Oh, I'm a distant relative. I'm a distant relative. I'm a distant relative of your grandmother's. Therefore, I have some sort of interest in whatever your business is in the moment. A reason to engage. What a fucking loser you are, Darren. Hear that, Jordan? Fucking idiot. Yeah, I think about that too. Mike and I aren't identical in that sense. Mike Damon. Although I'm open to it. I'm open to Daniel having disposed of the kids in the ocean in that setting, but I think that it's far closer. I think that it is just as a strong possibility of him burying, unfortunately. I wish I could get a clear answer too about what's his name? Brian Wong, Mr. Wong. I'd like to hear him. I wish I knew what it was that he knew, because people are having problems interpreting him. I don't think English is his first language. He doesn't like the RCMP. I still believe him. I still believe he heard noises that night, but because he has updated, it's hard to believe what is true and what's not, or what exactly he heard, if something was lost in translation. There's more, that there's more that he knows, or feel that he knows in that sense. But Janie and everybody are so different. They used to wave at Mary Wong and the neighbors before. Now they're completely different. Now they go online to disparage them and discredit them. Why would they have the need to discredit the neighbors? Why do you have the need to discredit your neighbors in that sense at this point in time? Well, the answer is because you are hiding something. That's why you're so sensitive to all of these things. Innocent people don't regard and don't act as though they're coming out of their skin, Jordan. Darren. I wonder how deep Darren is in all of this. Darlene, you think that they're closer than we think? He was tweaking, probably no sleep. The cop showed up faster than he expected. Still doing the dirty work. Darlene, that's what amazes me in this. I think you're absolutely right in that sense. That's what was occupying his time. That's so brazen. I'm even surprised, Daniel, just how brazen you are in all of this. Holy shit. It's hard to say how much and what exact evidence that he needed to get rid of in that sense, but I'm specifically talking about the bodies. Like the fact that he never wavered about coming up with a false narrative in order to get himself out of this situation shows you just the psychopathic nature of the chemicals in his system. You couldn't control yourself is what got you to that point. And you just doubled down at that point, Daniel. Probably got even more high and got the shovel out. And you're going to stand on business being your word against everybody else's and just claim innocence in all of this. As opposed to actually providing a legitimate timeline of events. You've really fucked up. You really gave yourself away in insisting that the moments leading up to their disappearance weren't worth remembering. That's a tell. The curveball's coming. One moment, please. I got to get a snack. Thank you very much. My apologies, friends. There's many different options, Robin, and you're not wrong for Robin Edwards. You're not wrong for going morbid because the conversation has to go there at some point in time. With all due respect to Jack and Lily in this sense, it's for the better. It's saying maybe they were stashed in an empty Getty's house and taken farther away later on. Just a thought. Opportunity. And they have the means in that sense. Yeah, well, it's just for show anyway, Carol. that one day search November 15th is stupid, in my mind. But if it makes you feel better, go out and do it. I wouldn't hold it against anybody for not showing up. Laura, you saying Earl's threatening people? What's Earl saying? Yeah, Darren's son's threatening people. Cheryl throwing Malaya in a bad light. Wade running his mouth. Janie making herself look bad. So I guess I have to correct myself. Remember how I used to tease about that girl being Malaya's pink-haired psychic beach friend? Well, those are actually two different people. Well, at least somebody in my comment section was letting me know that there's actually, I forgot what her name was. Should go back and check. But they're two different people. So there's a psychic who's different, who had that vision about Jack and Lily being in New Brunswick in that sense, very early on, that made Malaya call in that tip to the RCMP. And the beach friend are different. That's all. I like to combine them. I like to make them all one person. It was a lot funnier that way. Yeah, Shelby. Shelby, that's right. Thank you, Shelby. Has D ever came into my chop chip? No, he's, unless you're his sock account. Probably under a sock account. You remember way back in the early on when we caught wise to the bullshit that Darren Geddes was pushing? Him claiming essentially to have more knowledge than the RCMP in the circumstance, and toying with everybody about all of the things that he knew and wasn't going to share. Well, that's probably the only truth in everything. But we were calling him out in this live chat. He was coming in here trying to obfuscate. So what he would do, like from my perspective, like specific observation, only the true liar and the person who's being spoken to, like the creator in that sense, in these live chats could recognize, unless you recognize the pattern from afar. But he'll come in and you'll bring something up, a point that he was trying to make, for example, in one of his interviews on over the girls' channel, and he would immediately deny and say the opposite and twist and put it back onto the person as though that they weren't competent enough to understand what point that he was trying to make in here. And right away, when you see somebody do that, I know I'm not a retard like you, Darren. Okay? I knew you're so full of shit, son. I know there was abuse, but I don't know who you're listening to, Anita. Don't even listen to that. There's all kinds of proof of abuse, and they've even admitted to it. And how they admitted to it in that language, sewed in with a bunch of minimizing and distancing. Not to mention the avoidance, which would give away their priorities. Coming to love that Mike demands adaptation of Plaids. It's fantastic. Who's claiming that there? Hold on there. Where did I read that? Seawood, where are you? Seawood, what were you saying? Yeah, don't listen to that, Anita. Who's claiming to be a private investigator? Anybody can claim that shit. The LOL blanket. You're asking me about the LOL blanket? Do I believe? Well, it's wherever it's at, whatever coordinate that's on the search dispatch. You can go to the search dispatch and hear the coordinates and find out where it is for yourself. It doesn't matter to me where any of the so-called pieces of evidence that are included in the paperwork were found. I could give a shit. I couldn't care fucking less. I care whether or not the coordinates are accurate the first time, but there was misspelling and Janie wanted to clarify that it was found one way or the other. I don't even give a shit. It's not an issue to me. It's been straightened out long ago. But the point is it really doesn't matter. It's much more interesting in how it was handled and why it's there in the first place. I don't believe one word that comes out of Daniel's mouth. The fact that there's all kinds of paperwork talking about the LOL blanket after Daniel said and represented or misrepresented himself in this little sequence of events just demonstrates to everybody that he's withholding guilty knowledge. What that is, don't know yet. Don't know. It doesn't drive me nuts that I don't know every little thing that's in Daniel's head, or the fact that we can recognize that the story that they portrayed to the public, to the media, to 911 is far from, number one, where we are now, and they've got themselves there. They've changed, okay? Their sequencing of events, they've become inconsistent. They've blown up their own story. They contradict themselves, not to mention all of the linguistical deceptive indicators, and then some along the way, would indicate that they're withholding guilty knowledge of what really happened that night. And then you can go back and refer to the timeline and get a good gauge based off of what it is that they avoided the entire time as to the most likely sequence of events. And we all know about the questions and the laughable lack of alibi, the non-existent alibi. And his alibi, hold on, let me put a pause. Daniel has given us an alibi. His alibi is that he went to bed rather early on Thursday and didn't get up till light the next day. That's his alibi. That's brought into question over the two witness statements talking about all of the vehicular activity around the house between the hours of 12:30 and 4 a.m. Now, there's things that the paperwork doesn't say in that sense. There's all kinds of things. The fact that Daniel's out here doing and behaving the way he is indicates that he's involved in this. He's there because he needs to be there to make himself feel better, to provide the answer in the moment so nobody has time to think about much and come at him. Oh, he can't handle that. Yeah, nobody believes Daniel, including the RCMP Pink Rose, but you still have to play the game. It would be foolish for the RCMP to treat things a certain way so it has the public's, the public can have a new label to think that something else has happened. Why would they shoot themselves in the foot and tip off the potential perpetrators no matter what in this circumstance? You have to keep it as it is. It was opened a particular manner. As soon as you deviate from that, you're complicating things later on and trying to prosecute the case in this sense. The problem is that none of us outside the investigation have patience. It is what it is. We're too tied to it emotionally for whatever reasons. And I know you all know this individually. We all know this individually, but as a group and groupthink, people want to lose faith because they're mentally exhausted. You're getting shaken out of this story. No different than you're getting shaken out of the markets when they go up and down and they become volatile. You get scared. You don't know what's going this way, that way. You don't know what's true, what's not, and you get exhausted. And next thing you know, you take a break and you get away from this particular case. You got shook out of the market. Panic sold. FOMO. But it's the same sort of psyche in that sense. Listen, this is a gold mine of bullshit, this case. It doesn't matter how yell or how much they stomp their feet. It's not going to make them seem any more innocent. They just keep insisting that you believe them because they're not here to lie and they're being 100% honest. They've got nothing. They've got no reason to give you to believe them. That's a fucking problem. The fact that they don't even want to, they refuse to even fill in the blank between this time and this time. Attribute to their whereabouts. And it doesn't line up in any of the paperwork. The cop's supposed to react to you because you're lying to them in the moment? No, they want to know why you're lying to them. They got to get to the bottom of this. You continue to lie. Continue to insist that you're so helpful to this fucking case, Danny. But for the rest of you who are wise to the Matrix in that sense, that you can't unsee the bullshit now. It sometimes gets frustrating watching other people get involved with Daniel. Don't let that bother you, because your emotions are confused. Daniel still, think about what it is that they're doing. Their little circuit of damage control. They're out for their own egos. They need to do it to make themselves feel better, and it's out of desperation. An innocent person in this circumstance has better things to do to continue and perpetuate the disinformation on the backs of Jack and Lily. And a fool can see that is what's going on. This is what Kent brings to you. Well, like I said, CBCB 1, 2, 3. It's all a part. If you're truly actually trying to figure out that in that sense, it's going to be impossible directly. You need a little bit of help, like no different than law cases. Go to your library and pull out some case law and figure out what has happened in situations just like this, and how investigators have come to build their case against them, the evidence. This gathering of evidence in a situation with so much deceit is time consuming. That's going to take up the most amount of time in the case. As soon as they have enough information, then then their hands internally are really forced to take it to the next direction. Whether that information is negating certain leads, everything couldn't have happened to Jack and Lily. You've got to rule things out. You can't expect their claims not to be scrutinized at some point. Building rapport with the suspects is a very bizarre and strange piece to all of this, which has to, well, for me, it would probably take up and needed to be worked on, like training, because in these circumstances, I would be so emotionally attached to these particular cases, it would affect me in certain ways. And you can't let it affect you. You need to be professional to a certain degree, but you can't help but be affected. But as I was CBC, or I can't remember what your name was, excuse me, CBC, I'll call you. We're in the middle of gathering evidence in that sense, from the investigation standpoint. How long is that going to take? God only knows. Divine Love Light 369. I love the fact that you got 69 in your name. That's very generous of you. Thank you for the gifting of a membership. Welcome, Seawood. You got the membership. Yeah, it's frustrating. This is probably, being through this again and again and again, this is the frustrating part. Think about how frustrating it was to sit through Trezell and Jacqueline West after, that Christmas where they got in front of the cameras and talked all about what had happened to the kids in the backyard. They just vanished magically, just like Jack and Lily. We acted the exact same way. And there's the exact same people out there. The arguments, the difference is that Jacqueline and Trezell clammed completely up. They avoided the media at all costs. In this circumstance, there's nothing. Daniel getting in front of that CBC camera and doing these interviews have made himself look even worse. You would have benefited by shutting the fuck up, Daniel. Wanting your privacy, but that would have been impossible for you, which is hilarious. These things work in the most interesting ways, don't they? You can't help but put yourself in these circumstances. And it's a form of self-soothing in that sense. It has to be. Daniel, the answers that you give the reporters indicate that you're being deceptive, no matter what. Across the board. Why would you choose to get in front of those cameras and make yourself look like a fucking idiot? That would be a person's natural fear, okay? Think about a person's natural fear, not just public speaking, but putting yourself in a circumstance to make yourself look worse. He's doing that on purpose, out of desperation, to keep and maintain the level of deception and bullshit going. He's got to manage his bullshit lies. This is what we're watching. He can do that until the cows come home. Lead you this way and that, up and down, all over the fucking place, but it doesn't affect the investigation from the RCMP's perspective. It's still the same thing day in and day out until one day you wake up and they got to move on something. They'll invite, after this great rapport that they've built with Daniel and everybody over these interviews that they've had over 6, 8, 10 months. They've essentially groomed him into agreeing to come down to the police department. So he's not going to know when it comes. It's just what's going to happen, like it happens in each and every other case, is that they'll have you in there in the interview room and they'll tell you you're free to leave at any point in time. And by the end of it, you'll have the cuffs on you, because they'll have talked yourself into really admitting to something one way or the other. And I guess the logic from his perspective is that eternal bullshit, these internal lines, these things to eternally question and investigate. These false leads in this sense will keep him free. It's like your Last Supper. No, eventually there's going to be an end to it. Cops are there just to take and absorb in all of that information. That's what the more I get to see these comments in my these comments in my comment section under these videos, people, and they're just fake accounts, and it's not people, it's not anybody, but jumping and just, hating all over the RCMP and how they fucked up this case and this case just to disparage them. It has to be coming from their internal little clique too, of the trifecta of bullshitters. Darren, Kent, and Danny, Logan, Jordan. And think about how hardworking you guys are. You have nothing better to do all day than run and watch all of these comment sections and try to intimidate people that are voicing their opinions, trying to develop the minds of millions. People have their minds made up about you already in the circumstance. You've had every opportunity to say the right things. Daniel's running out of things to say. Like, you could have answered the questions correctly, but you haven't. You've given the RCMP investigators every opportunity to observe you in a setting that couldn't be any more perfect for bringing some conclusion or conclusive answers to this. That doesn't mean that Daniel ever has to admit to anything, but they have to take it to that point. Think about how frustrating it is to watch people like Stacey wander around for 4 years knowing full well what he did to Michael Vaughn. Think about how frustrating that was, and relate to where we are with this case in Jack and Lily Sullivan. Stacey Wandra, you don't have sound? Try refreshing. Sound check, 1, 2, 3. Check, sound check. Yeah, there's sound. Yeah, what the fuck, Osprey? Tripping me out up here. My audio was doing some funny things yesterday, so. No, the point is it's frustrating, but don't let that make your mind up. Even though that your mind wants all of these answers in the moment. Fuck, they let Stacey wander and all of these dudes who did the worst thing to Michael Vaughn wander around, and they're still technically wandering around right now. Stacy's not. Sarah's not. But you know what I'm saying? And Trezell and Jacqueline, it was the same thing. Sound is 100%. Okay, thank you. It's Osprey. Maybe I'm talking too much. Let's see, what else do I got here? So let me go back to this message. Hold on, let me take this away. Take that down. Protect the privacy of... for just a brief moment while I get there. That's good enough. So, look at this message. Look at this message. Jordan, why are you so angry at this person? This is the types of things that you know what really baffles me about this is how he handles it. Like, so we left off treating you the same way you're treating us. So how is it, Jordan, that we're treating you? You, Darren, who else is in that little clique that you're referring to as us, I wonder? How dare you treat us? What do you want to be treated like royalty? Guys, Darren wants to be treated like royalty, and so does Jordan. He's entitled. Look at all of the good things that he's doing for Jack and Lily Sullivan, according to Jordan. Such as... well, give us a few for examples. So Jordan comes back replying to that first and only, like, this poor gal only said, curious why a Geddes is sending me a friend request. Jordan responds again, you curious, dumb, ugly soul. You do have Greta Garbo shit syndrome, disgraceful. A missed call at 1:45 in the afternoon. And Jordan says, I'm going to harass every one of you. Now, who is all of you? The same way you are with you retarded accusations and assumptions. Hants. What does hants mean? He's got to be all fucked up. He's all fucked up at 1:45 in the afternoon calling this person at work. A little part of me is thinking, well, I wonder what she did. Maybe there's a slight chance that this person deserved it. Were they doing something? Am I missing something? Do I not know something that happened prior to this that led up to this? I don't think so. And I think it has a lot to do with whatever the RCMP had to say when they came to visit old Jordan here. Could it be the booze talking? Yeah, but there's truth behind that there, Trail Hiker 8063. Whatever it is, that is fucking hilarious. I'm sorry that you had to go through this. Not that it shook the individual that much. But what does that say about... Think about how desperate that person was to get through to you. You had to accept their friend request. Accept their friend request to get berated by all of this vulgarity. And then this random individual telling you how cowardly you are for not answering the phone so they can continue to berate you with all of this nonsense. That's definitely somebody who's influenced. Under the influence, excuse me. Oh, shit. and it even the last voice message they said, old Jordan here was apologetic for all of the nasty messages that he did send, which tells me that he probably was under the influence. He probably has that feeling each and every time he wakes up in the morning. I wonder what I did last night. How many people do I need to apologize to today? There's no new information about Gus out of Australia. Yeah, I've been kind of reading that. I've been somewhat following that. There's a tranny with a shotgun involved. That's what got my. So Gus's, the person who was supposed to be looking after Gus, came out after reporters with a shotgun, and Jerry Springer style. She's a tranny. It's a tranny. Hardcore tranny too. That's got their makeup all fucked up all over their face. Oh shit! There's something to this case. Already, I'm profiling them, I guess, but I'm not a cop. Jordan's mouth needs bars of soap. Well, that would be definitely at least somewhat hygienic. How about just some toothpaste? Yeah, Jordan does take the cake. I wonder what he was pissed off about. I wonder what really ticked him off. It has to do with what Charmaine was telling me about. I gave away my one source. No, I think she's okay with that. Charmaine was telling me about something. And I'm just putting that together. It might not be 100%, but why else would he be so pissed off? Charmaine was telling me something that the RCMP, the individual said the RCMP immediately went over and saw Jordan. And then I'm seeing these messages. Now I'm putting two and two together. Oh, Olive or Divine Light, how many times has and does keep shouting about he wants another polygraph? That whole statement about Daniel wanting all these polygraph examinations, he's misrepresenting what the technology is used for in the first place, and he's trying to condition you into thinking that's somehow an innocent button for Daniel in any of this. Look, they're just trying to get a baseline off you for the set of questioning that they're going to ask you in the next set whenever they feel like pulling you in for it, douchebag. All right? And having you sit there in the polygraph chair and just have that, the person conducting it is one thing. It's all of the other people at the behavioral sciences group at the RCMP, the BSG, that are behind the one-way mirror, that are taking that opportunity to observe you and all of your cues and all of your linguistic deception indicators. Shout out to Plaids. It's an opportunity to observe you answer the questions in a controlled environment, AKA building a case against you. I don't think that would be as funny if it wasn't you, Daniel. It's also called building a case against you, motherfucker. And sadly, that's what this looks like. That's what we're in. There's no possible way Daniel doesn't have something to do with it from my point of view. Impossible. You can go over and drunk turkeys and pretend you're innocent. It's even funnier. It's even funnier when you do it again and again. Get over there and drunk turkeys and start talking to them. Starcar, it was you. AB started going off on Mr. threatening me in the uncensored group. Yo, he's coming after you up on that Facebook group? Well, where was the moderation? Yeah. Where was the moderation? Jordan says, either talk on the phone or you're a coward. Well, it's either or. He didn't answer the phone, so you got the coward. You got Jordan calling you a coward. That was the repercussions. Whoa. Fucking somebody. Hey, accept this friend request. I'm calling you right now. Fucking the audacity. He's probably single. What are you saying there, Carol? Carol Johansson, I agree, although Gus was described as being on a station, which I believe is similar to an animal preserve or large park. Yeah, I think I do recall something about that. I got to learn more about that case. But yeah, you're right. Because there's a dam in behind him. So it makes sense. Well, what else is there? What else can we talk about? I'm tired of talking about this douchebag. Jordan, you're a fucking idiot. So it goes on to say, I still want to hear there's 3 there, but there's like 6 or 7 or 8 more voice messages from this douchebag. I wonder if they're worth anything. I wonder what it is that he had to say. So really, what is it we learned from this message? The fact that Jordan is sensitive and he's triggered AF. I would go as far as to say triggered AF. Over the fact that he doesn't like how the public as a whole are treating his idiotic dad, Darren, or himself. Well, how is that our fault? How is that anybody else's fault? Why is it somebody else's fault that people think you're a fucking moron? Wouldn't you think that it should be time to change maybe what it is that you do? Is it your clothes? Is it your breath? Do you smell like shit, maybe? Is it what you're saying, what you're doing, what you're acting, how you're portraying yourself? It couldn't be, could it? It couldn't be you guys.
So this is the patio.
This is the patio door
that Jack and Lily would have.
that Jack and Lily came out of.
So
right here, this is actually a lot more interesting than you would think. So this is what old Janie has Daniel doing instead of being inside helping with the family and contributing to a positive family environment within the house. Daniel's tweaked out there helping Janie feel more comfortable in a superficial manner, because you can put lipstick on a pig, my friends, but there's no fucking possible way that you're going to change the feeling of living out in an RV in a Canadian winter with little aluminum panels between you and Mother Nature in a vehicle that doesn't run, whether you have a wood stove in there sweating your balls off or not. All that's going to be, you don't have climate control. There's no running water. You've got to impose back in the house to even wash your hands. Okay? How are you keeping, we wash our hands like 4 or 5 times an hour, bro. We keep clean usually. We try to. How do you keep clean out there, handling a dog in and out and all over the place? Love dogs, love animals, but it's nice to wash your hands. Not to mention wipe your ass. Do you go in a 5-gallon bucket? Is that what you're really doing for Daniel? Daniel has got you, Janie, living out in the driveway in your RV. He's pissing in your ear and telling you it's raining. No different than he's doing to the world with this case. Janie, deep down inside, knows this. She does not like to be in the goddamn RV living like a homeless person on Skid Row. Not at all. And over time, she's grown to resent this strange new hussy Malaya that's coming into her life, bringing her baggage that's never going to be good enough for her, Danny. Look at the sacrifice she's making. You know what how many cuts Daniel made to fill in the wheel wells? Look at. He's got all the wheel wells filled in with all little chunks of scrap lumber. Nice little step up there. Isn't that nice? Doesn't it seem like a nice little summer home? It wouldn't be bad if it was over a lake in the middle of February with holes in the ground. If it was maybe an ice hut. You could stay out in the ice on this thing and fish. But this is your mom's in your damn driveway. And let's not forget, Janie admitted to us early on that, and I wonder what the real reason is. And I'll tell you, it's probably, if Janie is telling you it and volunteering the information, she's minimizing it. So we know that there was not a less than ideal situation way back when Malaya and Daniel had to move out of the place in Truro, Patty's. The Shubenacadie Reserve, maybe. Is she on the res or off the res? I can't remember. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Move out of Patty's. So they moved out of Patty's into the trailer. And Janie moved out of the trailer because, for whatever reason, Janie couldn't handle the noise. I think that's what she said. There's too much noise for her. Maybe she's sensitive to noise. She's crazy AF. She's nuts. But there's more to it. Those walls are so thin. She probably heard Daniel's ongoing all-night activity because he's tweaked out of his fucking mind. The baby's always up. Kids always yelling. Daniel and Malaya knocking boots. Imagine hearing all that go on. Janie wanted peace and quiet. And that's this little hermit story. Yeah, that's what she told Daniel when she moved out. Old Durwood probably brought her this. This is probably Kent's goddamn RV. Kent, this looks like something. This looks like something from your old lot, bro. Yeah, Patty's a native, B. Patty's full blood. You can go and see Patty, too. She had a nice little cameo in the... What was that? Was that the Globe and Mail? So what are you doing in my chat telling me what is and what isn't when I just told you what is? The fuck's up? It's in here spreading disinformation in my chat. Keep an eye out for that shit. Anita Benita, you brought up an interesting point. I don't believe Patty would kick Malaya and the kids out and have nowhere to go. I think it was Daniel wanting to control MBM and who could have access to them. I think that one, not necessarily to control access, that just comes with the change in routine, right? That would just come with the change of environment. But that would be the end effect, right? You're thinking, or Janie's on the mathematics like Daniel. Well, maybe she's getting into it too. Why wouldn't she? She's got a sore back from sleeping in that RV all that time. don't think that your information is correct, B. I don't know where you're coming in with that. And Daniel wanted to do his rugs in peace without hiding. Anita, you're probably right on the money. That came with the territory. Is probably motivation to get out of Patty's, perhaps. We'll know in time, B.
Oh, it's the morning of May 2nd. Take me through what happened.
Okay, I was up at 6 o'clock, sat in there and had my tea. And then on Facebook, 7 o'clock.
You know, the more we watch these clips, the more it becomes a lot... Well, the situation becomes a lot more clear in that the reason for all of this is just self-serving for Janie, as opposed to really having anything to do with where Jack and Lily are or what happened to them. It's an effort to really show the world how evil she is and infer that the kids voluntarily walked out that house. And through this whole interview, she avoids talking directly to the question. And the story that she tells has everything to do with how innocent she is, as opposed to the fate of Jack and Lily in any of the moments that could possibly be of benefit to the situation at hand. Hey, Chelsea. Yep, Patty's never spoken to the media, to your knowledge. I have to go back and check and read that article. I can't remember. Yeah, that was Harvey or Henry. I got to go back and check.
I get up, come over here, fed my chickens. My brother, Ron, called me at 8:48 and asked me if I wanted to go to town with them. And I said no.
Whoops.
I said I'm staying home. I said I'm going back to bed. Okay, I went and I laid down. Next thing you know, my dog started barking, and
the dog is not very happy in there. You can tell. Free Fluffy. Look at that dog looking at the camera. Panting, huffing. Cracked, looking through a broken, cracked piece of glass. That could be an advertisement for the OSPCA or ASPCA. That's so sad. That dog is crying. Fluffy is crying. Fluffy wants to be out of that parked vehicle. Fluffy wants to run around. Fluffy wants to go search.
my dog started barking, and the kids were out in the yard. Now you can see there's two swings where the kids play. My bedroom is right there. I heard the kids. This is where the kids' swings are. This is where they always played.
And so that's where
I heard them. And I can hear everything in that trailer. If two kids get out of a fence, and Jack and Lily are all the time yelling, especially Lily, come on, Jackie, let's go, Jackie, let's go, Jackie. It's all I hear out here. When the kids get out of the fence and come up...
You know, to the logical watcher, Nobody can figure out why the hell this woman is living in a broken down RV with a half-assed fence that anybody could get through. Especially kids. They could squeeze through that. Not that that matters any to all of this. It looks like the work of a tweaker. But the thing is that Janie is probably on one ever since she moved into the RV and annoys Daniel to the point of Daniel overcompensating in order to try to make his mom feel half-assed comfortable out there by doing whatever it is she asks. So she's got Daniel building her all of these ridiculous fences and things out there, away from the family in that sense. Daniel doesn't need to be fucking out there. You guys are you're trying to fix something with a silly idea. She doesn't need to be in that RV. Why isn't she in her trailer enjoying her life? Why is it that you, Malaya, and all of the kids have taken over her trailer for essentially what's eternity at this point? Like, when was that going to change? But more importantly, it added to the resentment and the problems within the house, their living situation. And it wasn't going to get better because Daniel's hooked on the fucking glass dick. And probably doing a lot of other shady things to help support that habit, as opposed to be focusing on bringing home an honest living in that sense, and what he should. All of his money's gone. Situation isn't getting better. He's become reliant on his mother in that sense, and she is out of her wits' end because she moved out into the driveway. That's what everybody's asking. You've got this fucking cockamamie story. Why are you out in the driveway in the first place? And why does it look like a homeless encampment? It looks like something that should be at Burning Man permanently. It doesn't matter what you do to that old fucking broken down RV. It's going to still be living in a broken down RV. This is not doing what you have to do. There's a greater story at hand here that contributed to the negative living environment of Jack and Lily because they were already treated as strangers and second class citizens in that household as they came there. Because they came to Janie in need of help. They didn't come to Janie and they didn't just decide to get together and live with one another because that's what you do and live happily ever after. They came, Daniel came and gaslit his mom in a situation of dire straits, in a bad way. He's got another baby coming. They can't support the ones that they have now. At that point, priority takes. I'm surprised they weren't fighting over the food at the kitchen table. It's not making fun of anybody's living situation. You can live in with whatever you want. It could be cool in the right circumstances. But the thing is, Janie is out here and she's not addressing the elephant in the room in that sense as to why and what brought her to move out of the trailer and into the RV. She just wants you to think that this is a fantastic life choice in this sense. Here, take everything that I don't fucking have and make it yours there, Daniel. No, this is staunch denial by Janie. You're living worse than homeless because of the lack of hygiene that's in that particular RV. You can't even clean up after the dog properly. You have to go in after you pick up the dog poop, and you have to go into the trailer and wash your hands with some soap and water. So everything that's being touched around there is dirty in that sense. And it doesn't take long. Fuck, I couldn't handle it. No running water in that place. Oh, here, I'll get in my RV and call you. Maybe I'll call Malaya and see if I can't come into the trailer that I fucking own and use the shower. Hey, Malaya, is it okay is now a good time to come in and use my shower? Let me know. Call me back. Should I schedule that in tonight? Maybe I should drop her a Facebook message. Could you imagine? I don't think so. No, Janie isn't having any of that. She's the boss of the joint. That's her place. It's a bit narrow-minded, Lori Green. The dog has to shit sometime. And you should pick your dog shit up. So that process would fall onto somebody. The fact that you don't see it doesn't mean anything. The fact that you don't see dog poop doesn't mean anything to me. Stop being narrow-sighted in my live chat. Thank you. 2 minutes for failure to conceptualize. Enabling Danny Boy. Well, you have to do what you have to do. But she's ignoring all of this because it would have everything to do with the toxic environment of that household. How do we know it was toxic? Because Malaya couldn't wait to get the fuck out of there. She's gone. She took off. Now that's the one part about all of this that I was really open about, whether it was planned to happen that way or if it was genuinely a surprise to Daniel. I don't think it was a surprise. I think it was an ongoing issue right up until May 2nd. Wonder how. I would think that Daniel probably saw it within the days coming up, the weeks coming. You know, it's difficult to live around somebody, especially if you're tweaked out and not in control of your emotions, and know that she has a date that she's leaving and she still needs you for all of this help. You know, there's can be a lot of conflicting emotions going on at that point in time. And this could be very well one of the things that escalated, an ignition point. There's no need for that. You're right, Lori, because I don't know what you're talking about. 2 more minutes. You got 2 more minutes. I'm holding them against you. Pretty ironic how DM says Cindy controlled Malaya, and they didn't talk about what we find out. They talked about, that they talked every day in that sense. No parental relationship is perfect in that sense. You can't expect it to be. That's not the point to all of this. But you're pointing out a direct conflict. Now think about all of the bizarre things Daniel has said in that sense in regards to how Jack and Lily would only listen to him, and that he needs to be out there because Jack and Lily have a bond with only him and not his mother in that sense. Just really inappropriate, misplaced, misogynistic, ignorant things. Also known as not representative of an innocent person in desperation in the moment. None of Daniel's behavior really reflected that. It really reflected the fact that he needed to stay away and wanted to stay away and didn't know how to approach and go about talking to the pigs, the cops, the RCMP. He was scared, as you would expect him to be. He's still terrified. But he's learned to distance himself, right? He's learned to disassociate. And he's got the sheer need. He doesn't have anything else but these lies. There's no hope. The only person who has hope is him. And he's hoping people buy his bullshit story, despite all of the evidence suggesting otherwise. Now, at some point, somebody's going to have to be held accountable to that. All of these areas that point back to trouble in the household. And the fact that they're really isn't not enough information provided by the individuals that were set forth to protect the children in the first place. Combine that with all kinds of information that we're not privy to. I think you could get a good sense of what was going on between the conversations with Cindy and Malaya that was ongoing. Yeah, there's definitely a control, a sense of a need for control by way of Daniel, even in how he played, or he played the scene with Cindy and Malaya on that day that she left, where he told her to F off. We recognize all of this gaslighting after the fact by Logan and Daniel and Janie. Think about what she was going through and what she probably had to go through on the daily. We sense how frustrating the lies and deception are from these assholes. Imagine what Malaya had to deal with. You would want to leave too, for crying out loud. But again, I don't think Malaya was emotionally mature enough to take charge of her own life at that point in time. That might be an understatement, of course. Or maybe obvious to some of you, but I'm just saying it. Like, what escalated Malaya was essentially allowing, a lot of people could argue, or turning a blind eye to, or not. Like, most mothers would not even tolerate it. They would be gone right away. But something had Malaya hooked to Daniel in all of this. Was it the fact that they shared the same addiction to substances? There's a strong possibility for that. There's evidence to say yes, even though that they're split and there's staunch denial over it. Well, not really. They've both admitted to it, but they don't want to, or it to associate in any way to this particular situation, which is suspect. And it's suspect that they don't take ownership, self-ownership of their vices in that sense. They want you to think, oh, I'm the first one to tell you that I'm a tweaker. I'm the first one to tell you that I do drugs. Well, no, you're not, Daniel. No, you're denying that it had anything to do, or it was a contributing factor to the toxic environment that led up to Jack and Lily having to be reported missing. What does that tell me, Rob? It tells me that you're listening to Durwood. They're just they're hyping themselves up. They're very unsophisticated in that sense, but desperate as a really a little conglomerate. They're all in this together. That's what it really looks like at this point in time. Now, remember, we talked about there being 3 distinct parts to this, and that's what led up and what happened to Jack and Lily, or Jack or Lily. What happened to the second one? You can even say 4 parts. What happened to the first child, what happened to the second child, and the environment that contributed in leading up to it. The fact that one person decided that they were going to proceed in disposing of the bodies, treating the body in a ghastly manner to dispose, and children at that, your own children at that. And then there was the need to pull other people in to help you conceal it and get away with it, as in offer up alibis, corroborating stories, the script. Like, there's nothing about that particular script that's really working towards bringing some justice to all of this, is how shitty their initial script to the RCMP are. It's what's going to hold them in a position to be able to, for a jury of 12 to understand that they're without a doubt lying in the circumstance, which in this case with 2 missing children mean the worst, whether they're going to admit to it or not in the end. The more information, the better, but at some point, you've got to proceed. And that will happen in this case. Anita Bonita. So I got a problem with that, but it might be true. It's just that the obfuscation was effective in that I'm not sure whether or not I believe Lily had a black eye on Wednesday unless somebody else can corroborate that for me. Because that information's coming from Daniel in a live chat, and I don't believe a word he says. But the fact that he brought it up in a live chat, like how can we corroborate that on the Wednesday? It wouldn't surprise me. But you're saying, in my opinion, Lily's black eye set things off, even if accidental. Maybe mom didn't believe DM and realized he had been abusing them since CPS came. She couldn't ignore it anymore and wanted out. Well, what Malaya has going for her is that in a court of law, in this whole process, eventually, she can be, and it could be very interesting in how it plays out within the courtroom. Because of the reasons and that we've just outlined, the conflict within the home, the addictions. Like, none of it is going to be reliant on anything that Janie or Daniel has said to police. They're not just going to say, "Oh, okay, you guys are innocent. Thanks for being so honest with us." That's not how an investigation works. And the fact that they want to get in front of a microphone and talk about it and insist and insinuate that that's how you take them is a real red flag. And they misappropriate, they misrepresent the true meaning, the true point to any part of this investigation, if you will. And they twist it to seem somehow that it's there to make it more obvious that they have nothing to do with it, and therefore, look elsewhere. Please take your speculation somewhere else. It's just so harmful towards us. It's destroying our everybody involved. No. That's, again, you're destroying your own lives by proceeding with this in a dishonest manner. You're making life very difficult for yourselves. The entitlement that people should just believe you because you said something on the backs of Jack and Lily is insulting to the process. It's insulting to the people that you're watching. It's why CBC has you out full frontal, because when you look back upon this, they're going to have so much good fucking content with you two jerk monkeys, everybody involved in there who's trying to Darren Getty's quote, fix this. This is going to come burning to the ground. And it's going to happen very quickly. There's going to be no announcement. There's going to be no shift. When the time is right, you're going to know. Because they're going to perp walk these bastards. That'll be a great day. The more that they engage with people out there, the more that you realize how much they're lying, how deceptive they're being. That's how it's been for 6 months. But in the meantime, friends, I'm going to take off, and I'll see you back on Saturday morning. Or Saturday afternoon, excuse me. I'm going to get off, and we're going to have a bit of a bite to eat. Happy Friday, my friends, and those in Pictou County. Make sure you light up my comment section below. Tell me what it is that you guys are thinking. Peace.